Good afternoon and welcome to the second part in JCK's Holiday Survival Guide webinar series. My name is Desiree Hansen. I'm the Director of Industry Development for JCK. On behalf of JCK, I'm thrilled to present you with additional sales training before the holiday shopping and Black Friday upon us. I'd like to take a moment to go through some administrative items before we begin. First, everyone is on mute. If you have a question during the webinar, type it into the question box on the right of your screen, and Shane will answer all questions at the end of the presentation. Second, if you're listening through voice over IP and having trouble hearing, go ahead and use the phone-in feature instead. Today we have Victoria Gamelski and Shane Decker on the line. Victoria is Editor-in-Chief of JCK Magazine. Welcome, Victoria.
Thank you.
Shane Decker is President of Ex-SELL-Ence and has been helping sales associates and business owners achieve the highest level of excellence. Shane learned the truth about selling early on in his career when he took a job at a jewelry store located in Garden City, Kansas, in the States. He would say only one person in 10 has ever held a 1-carat diamond, and then he would show it to the customer, let them hold it, and they would feel privileged. Shane started showing 1-carat diamonds to every customer that entered the store and vowed to sell 100, a far-fetched goal for a store that sold fewer than 10 such diamonds the previous year. That year, he missed his goal. He only sold 72. But the next year, he broke 100 and sold well over 100 in the years to follow. With the fervor of its evangelist, Shane teaches retailers the anatomy of a sale, how to handle objections, closing skills, the art of the turnover, and to recognize sales profiles. Shane's sales secrets have been published in numerous trade publications, and he has been a speaker at the JCK events and other industry events for almost 20 years. He has provided much sought-after sales training for more than 3,000 stores worldwide. We are thrilled he can join us today live to give you tips on keeping your staff fired up for the holidays. Before we turn it over to Shane and Vic, we're going to start with a couple quick polling questions. The first one is, do you think this is going to be the best holiday season you've had in the past 3 to 4 years?
See. While everyone thinks about that question, this is Victoria, by the way. I just wanted to add a little perspective from the magazine. We've been running stories over the last few months about holiday forecasts for this season, and I don't know about you, but they all have been fairly contradictory. We've seen predictions of gains of as little as 3%. We've seen other forecasts that say this is going to be the best Christmas in 7 years. Small gains, big gains. It feels like every other week there's a new forecast. So I'm very anxious to hear what you all think and what you're seeing there in the retail trenches.
Okay. So 84% of you say it's going to be, and 16% do not think so.
Well, Desiree, guys, that's fascinating. Just today, and I didn't want to say it while people were voting, but just today, it's actually about to. I think it just went out. Our newsletter has a story called "2 Reasons Why Jewelers Should Be Optimistic This Holiday Season," and what it talks about are a few additional forecasts that have come in, suggesting that the word jewelers has been searched for quite a bit, according to the Internet Yellow Pages, and that more than 31 million searches are being made for that word, and that's the highest number of searches occurring in November, according to a media tracking study. So that's a great sign. And another sign is that people are expecting a ton of shoppers on Black Friday. You know, we've heard all those news stories about a lot of the big box stores, a lot of the big chains opening up at midnight, some even opening up on Thanksgiving Day. And it looks like here we have a forecast that says up to 152 million people plan to shop that weekend, higher than the 138 million who planned to do so last year. So again, things look to be starting off pretty good in a couple of weeks, or actually a week. So great sign.
That's great. Well, one more polling question before we get this going. We want to know, are you currently using tools and games to motivate your staff and increase sales?
Hello, everybody. It's Shane Decker. and I like to see that 84% number. I'm with the rest of you. I think this is going to be an awesome Christmas. Americans have been tired putting their lives on hold and saving money and wondering what the economy is going to do. And I really think it's going to be one of the best Christmases you've had in a long, long time. But obviously, the better your attitude, the more motivated you are, the better your Christmas is going to be. It's good to see and hear everybody and talk to everybody that's going to be listening to this. I know some of you are my friends. You called in and told me you were going to. Everybody's going to need a notepad and some pens, and you're going to need some tools so that you can take a lot of notes, because we're going to talk about a lot of tools to allow you to motivate your salespeople. Do we got a result on this yet, Desiree?
We do. 45% are using tools and games, and 55% are not.
All right, well, obviously, we're going to talk about motivating your people, and the games and tools that you use, anything that makes them feel successful with what they're accomplishing is a great start. Let's just talk about rules for a moment. Are you ready to roll, Desiree?
I'm ready to roll.
All right. Every professional sport has rules. Baseball, football, they all have rules. And if you don't follow them, obviously you're penalized or even more severely kicked out of the game. Air traffic controllers, they have rules. Can you imagine? And I fly every Monday somewhere, but can you imagine not having rules and just fly wherever you want to? We'd have a few problems. There are rules when you drive. Anyway, most of us follow those rules. Our rules in our industry, they're called absolutes. And absolutes are tools that you use for self-accountability. Self-accountability is something that we're somewhat lacking on. Self-accountability, the better we are at holding ourselves accountable, the less our managers and owners have to. And it allows us to be more responsible, handle more delegation, and keeping our team consistently consistent. And for some reason, it's easier to be more consistently inconsistent than it is consistently consistent. That's just formulating a good habit. And to do that, developing awesome professional habits are the tools that we're going to talk about today so that you have an incredible, incredible Christmas. But I want all of you to have sales meetings on this information. Absolutes will motivate us to do the right thing. And obviously, by nature, we're pleasers. But you've got to remember, you're only as good as you train. You're going to only be as good as you hire. And we're only as good as we follow the rules. You've got to make our clients happy. They've got to come in and have an experience they can't get anywhere else. So let's just talk about a list of some of the absolutes. We'll just talk about 10 of them.
Well, Shane, before we go into those examples, do we have time for a quick poll?
You bet. Throw one in there.
All right. We would like to know, have you hired support staff to gift wrap, run in the back, and run the register just before the holidays?
And obviously this is very important because it keeps your salespeople on the sales floor. They don't have to run in the back and wrap. It doesn't take them away from clients. It keeps her focused, motivated. Sales floor accountability is a lot better. So is store floor awareness. We don't want our salespeople running in the back for anything other than, well, we won't talk about that part. But anyway, are you hiring support staff to gift wrap and run the back and take care of the register? Let's see where we're at. What do you got, Desiree?
Okay, well, 40% have and 60% has not.
All right, well, that's interesting because I was hoping it would be a lot higher on the yes and a lot lower on the no. Those of you that clicked the no, you might want to resync that so that your professional team's on the floor all the time. So let's go back to the absolutes. Are you ready?
Yep.
All right, number one is keeping the sweet spot covered. Now, the problem with this is how many times have you guys gone into a business and the floor is vacant? Or the sales team comes from the back? Or they're all huddled at the POS machine laughing, and you know if people are huddled, they're laughing, the client thinks that you're laughing at them. That becomes a sell killer. The sweet spot is the place where we stand 10 to 15 feet from the front door, always on the client's right. And if the sweet spot's not being covered, you can do something called first up. And the first up is John's in the sweet spot first, and as soon as he grabs a client, Mary, she grabs the sweet spot. As soon as she grabs one, the next salesperson's in it, so on and so forth. But you've got to keep your sweet spot covered, because if you don't, first of all, it makes them think we're not very professional. And the other thing that it does is it puts people on the defensive too quickly. And so the sweet spot is very important to keep covered. Number 2, every client is greeted, smiled, and acknowledged within the first 5 seconds of coming into your store. Now, we're becoming a very impatient society. Not only that, clients, especially ones that are coming in that know you, that come in every Christmas or 2 or 3 times a year, it makes them feel important as soon as they get attention, and especially when you know their name. So if you make somebody feel important and you're smiling at them, your response is going to be much better. And by the way, the greetings, they can't be, what can I help you with? No Walmart stuff. Or, hi, how are you? That's called the Indian opening. You know, hi, how are you? Hi, how are you? You don't use that. Your greetings got to be creative. You got to be world-class friendly. You got to make them feel like they're the most important person that's walked in the store all day, even if you don't know them. So the first 5 seconds, everybody is greeted, smiled, and acknowledged. Extremely important. Absolute number 3. All your salespeople know the difference between relationship and selling specific questions. Now, that does not mean that you become an interrogator. But relationship questions are getting to know the client, especially if they've never been in before. And your questions will be like, how'd you guys meet? They're looking at a wedding engagement set. When are you getting married? Or how long have you been married? When's your anniversary? Are you from here? Never make the presentation about yourself, especially during the holidays. At Christmas time, always make the presentation about them. They're happy. They're going to have fun. They're seeing friends. They're traveling. The more you get them to talk, higher the closing ratio. Relationship questions. Selling specific questions. This is where you become what you would call a private sales investigator. As I said, not an interrogator. But selling specific questions deal with exacts. For instance, guy's name's Frank. Hey, Frank, did Emily give you any hints? You're finding out if she wanted the princess shape. He'll say, yeah, she said she wanted a strand of pearls. What's her favorite color? Do you know if she wanted white or yellow metal? What size diamond did you want? What size ring does she wear? Those are selling specific questions. And the more answers you get dealing with exacts, the higher your closing ratio is going to be. Now, these questions are extremely important because the more information, the more that you have the ability to answer their questions, because they gave you specific information back, the higher your closing ratio is going to be. The 4th one, every client that's not closed is team sold. Every one. We're going to talk about TOs in a little bit, but this is one of the biggest sell killers in our industry. I'm amazed that it's not an absolute in all jewelry stores, because the closing ratio goes up so much when you do this. We have to sell smart, very smart. And the amazing thing about it, if you don't close, the client's coming in to give you money. And when you don't close the sale, you're allowing them to leave and go to another jewelry store and give that store the money they were planning on giving you, when all somebody else had to do was come in and help you close it. But greed gets in the way, selfishness gets in the way, that's my client gets in the way, all sorts of things get in the way. And that's when you have poor teamwork. The TO should be mandatory in everybody's store. That should be one of them that it is not even up to talk about. In fact, I have accounts that if you don't team sell, everybody not closed, you're terminated. But they have extremely high closing ratios in their stores, and they're not doing it pushy. The 5th one, try for an add-on sale on every ticket. Now, how you add on, and we're going to also talk about these later, is with the tool that I'll teach you in a little bit. It's called the lead-in line. But some of the interesting things about the add-on, number 1, you don't have to sell yourself again. You already did. You don't have to sell your company again. You already did. You don't have to sell the product. You did, because it's already been sold, especially if it's a matching item. So you've sold yourself, the company, and the product. And the average add-on, when done correctly, takes 15 to 30 seconds, not 30 minutes or 3 hours, 15 to 30 seconds. And we'll talk about them later. But man, what a big missed opportunity to add large dollars to your sales slips and your Christmas volume and moving inventory, the add-on. Number 6, the wow. Wow every client everyone with a high-ticket item before they go. You heard Desiree talk about when I started in the industry showing everybody 1 carat, the standard size back in the 70s, early 70s when I started, was 1/4 of a carat. So, I mean, to go to a carat was a major jump. Today, the standard size is a carat, so that'd be like showing everybody a 4 carat. So to give you an idea, the odds I was up against. But every battery client, every repair client, everybody that makes a purchase, everybody that says just looking, say just look at this and hand them a carat. Now, what is really cool about that is when they say just looking and you say just look at this, when you show them something they don't want, they tell you really quickly what they do want. But wowing, it creates sales from scratch. People realize you're not prejudging their buying power. Very few people really have actually had a carat or 2 carat loose diamond in their hand before. Makes them feel very, very special. They realize you're not prejudging them. It's a silent compliment because they thought you thought they could buy it. And sometimes you sell it. Sales is a numbers game because people buy on impulse. So why wouldn't you wow everybody to wait on? In fact, when I was younger in my office, when I was full-time retail, I had a sign that said, the one I don't show is the one that would have bought it. And that motivated me to go out and wow everybody. Number 7, getting the client's name. How many times have you gone shopping somewhere and they got your name when you handed them your Visa card? Did that make you feel important? They don't even know who you are until the end. Get the client's name in the beginning and use it all the way through the presentation. First of all, it makes them feel important, and they know that you remember it, and obviously if you remember their name, it's going to be easy to remember it the next time they come in, and it's a great way to preserve client loyalty when you know their name. Names are important. And obviously, before they leave, get their email address or their text number so that you can follow up. We do too many presentations and don't even know who we're talking to. And then somebody might walk up to you and you say, you're going to follow up a phone call? No, I don't have their name. You can't do proper follow-up if you don't know who it is. Names are important. 8, always walk your client to the door. Shake their hand and give them your card. In fact, you ought to give them 2 cards. Tell them to keep one and give one to a friend and send them in. And the best compliment a salesperson will ever get is a referral. Now, the amazing thing about a referral, and that comes from you wowing somebody or giving a client an experience that was so incredible they didn't get anywhere else, referrals have super high expectations. They're a monster. And we got to meet and exceed all the expectations because somebody is bragging about how awesome you were. But what is interesting about a referral, the closing ratio on referrals, this is why it's so important to pass out 2 cards. The closing ratio on referrals is over 90%. In fact, a referral first time in has the highest closing ratio of any client you have. Wow, the card. Number 9, send everyone a thank you card. Not part of the people, not just people spend $1,000 or more, everybody. Handwritten notes mean a lot to people. In fact, if you've seen the statistics on how many people get written letters anymore and handwritten notes, it's very few. We text, and people don't even text spelling right. We email. We read it when we have a chance. The handwritten note is more powerful than it's ever been, and it's going away faster than probably any other form of communication, and it's extremely powerful. Number 10, do proactive salesmanship after the sale's been made. You know, the thing about it is that sometimes you see a client one time, and they don't come back in, and you wonder why. And a lot of people are loyalists. They go to the same gas station, same doctor, same jewelry store. 6 months after you sold them a beautiful diamond ring, call them and say, Mrs. Jones, you need to bring your diamond ring in. It's time for us to check it to make sure it's tight and clean it and polish it for you. We want your beautiful jewelry to look brand new all the time. And obviously, you know there's no charge for this. Follow up. Client picked up a repair 2 weeks ago. Mrs. Jones, I was just calling to make sure the ring we sized for you fit properly. You don't need to call back. I just wanted to leave you a message. Follow up. Follow up is powerful, and it raises the bar on professionalism, and it eliminates all your competition because they don't do it either. So there's just a list of 10 absolutes. There's many, many more. Those are just examples. And every one of you, you need to have a sales meeting on absolutes and come up with the ones that you want to have in your store, have everybody sign off on it and date it, and put it in your absolute file. Because now you have a tool for self-accountability. You have a tool for keeping you consistently consistent, and you've developed professional habits. Next. Closing ratio at Christmas time goes up about 80%. And that's not because we're better closers for a month, but because just looking becomes just buying in December. Now, there's a few points that I want you to think about. 60% of all people, 60%, cannot make up their own mind. So 60% of your shoppers can't make up their own mind. They are counting on you to give them permission to spend their money to close the sale. They pay for your opinion. In fact, they'll ask you, which one of these two do you like the best? Do you like this on me? Does it look nice? Well, they want reassurance from you. So being they're coming in to give you money, you've got to become extremely successful at closing the sale. That's the best way to preserve client loyalty. And they want to feel successful. Your client wants to feel successful and leave with a package. If they're not giving you money and leaving with a package from your store, they got to start the process all over. That just means I wasted 30 minutes, an hour. The client, they're thinking, man, why'd I come in here? I got to go somewhere else now. Success for them is leaving with the package and a smile on their face with bragging rights about the experience you gave them. That's a motivator. When rules are followed with success, give proper recognition to the responsible party. This is a motivator. We already had a question, what motivates people? Well, money does. It's a big motivator. But public recognition is huge. And it's something that a lot of managers and owners don't nearly give enough of, and people thrive on it. People are pleasers. And if somebody had a good sale, say, man, that was a great sale. Somebody had a great TO, say, man, you guys' team sold that awesome. That's a good job. You did great. Man, our team is awesome. Now, what that does is when people get public recognition, it motivates them to do even better the next time because they know they pleased you. So let's work on recognition and being an awesome motivator and an awesome leader. Let's encourage them with success and smiles. You're going to get a lot more doing that than trying to encourage them with fear. Training your sales team for success is a motivator. Gives people means to succeed.
Before we go into the training tips, can we launch a quick poll?
Throw in another one.
We want to find out, are you doing sales training for at least 15 minutes every morning of the holiday season?
Well, this is going to be a good one to find out because actually we should be training every day, 365 days a year if you're open that much, but every day. And the sales meetings are a very valuable tool because the more self-confidence your salespeople have from the knowledge they have, the more confidence the client has in their self-confidence, which we'll talk about in a bit. But knowledge is power, and it makes you feel successful when you can answer every question the client throws out. Where are we at on this, Desiree? Where is it?
All right. Well, 25% are, and 75% are not doing sales training.
All right. Well, let me just talk to the 25 and 75 for just a moment. The 25% that are doing sales training are going to have a much more successful Christmas and holiday season than the 75% that aren't. And that's been proven many, many times over. Would you like to fly with me in the space shuttle if nobody's ever taught me how to fly it? I think the answer would be no, don't you? I wouldn't even want to go with me. So the training's huge. Now, let's just talk about the 5 types of sales meetings, Desiree. Number 1 is product knowledge. Product knowledge is brands, Rolex, Hearts on Fire, Pandora, Simon G. Product knowledge is knowing how to set every timepiece, every quartz movement, understanding what all the timepieces do. It's understanding your diamond brands. It's understanding the information that you need to know to sell smart. And brand knowledge is different than GIA knowledge. But the problem with product knowledge is we allow our people to be category smart. What does that mean? Well, I have a salesperson that knows a lot about timepieces, but he doesn't do as well with colored stones or diamonds. Oh, I have this lady that's great in diamonds, knows nothing about timepieces. Well, let's say the timepiece client comes in, but you're the diamond person and you don't know much about timepieces, but everybody's busy and you can't do a TO. Wing it salesmanship doesn't work. Wing it salesmanship is something that makes us have the problem of not being able to close it, puts doubt in the client's mind. And so you got to be category smart in every category, all categories. You got to be a walking encyclopedia in every brand you have. Next, gemological. Those of you that are doing the jewelry industry and owners as a career, you should have diamonds 1 and 2, diamond grading, and colored stones 1 and 2 in grading, and gem and dent. And you should all have GIA certificates on your wall. First of all, anytime you go into a dentist office, you see their certificates. It lends credibility. It gives you self-confidence. It gives the client self-confidence. But right now, there's enough information on the internet that you could read everything that there is to read about diamonds. And you could go to GIA and pass their diamonds 1 and 2 test. That's how much information's there. Now, you could pass diamond grading, but people coming in that do research, that know more about diamonds and product and shape and angles and triple zeros and information about colored gemstones and Paraíba sapphire than you guys do, they're walking. One of the reasons the internet does so well is because people go in to get information from highly skilled, trained salespeople in jewelry stores, and they don't get it. Gemological knowledge. The third one, salesmanship. This is the big one at Christmas time. And we're going to talk about it a little bit more. There's all kinds of sales knowledge. The fourth one is store procedure. Flawless execution of the basics. How we set up the store. How we tear it down. Security, filling out your job envelopes correctly, how you want the store to look, store floor awareness, all of the things that set you apart from everybody else. And the fifth one, your store culture and philosophy. That's a study of truth. Now, to give you an idea, company benefits, and every store has them, there's 3 types: service, fact, and quality. Service. We have a full-time jeweler on staff. We change batteries. We set diamonds. We do custom work, carve waxes, do appraisal, service. The more company benefits you have bragging rights that you can use in your presentation about your company. Men buy peace of mind and freedom from risk, warranties, guarantees, lab reports, trade-in policies. The more peace of mind and freedom from risk you give a man in a presentation using company benefits, the higher your closing ratio is going to be. And this also is a motivator. Anytime you give people tools, knowledge is a powerful motivating tool because it makes you feel successful. So how many sales meetings should you be having? 52 a year minimum, 1 hour apiece. Now, the 2 most needed right now, this time of year, are number 1, product knowledge, not allowing your team to be category smart in 1 or 2, all areas. And you've got 37 or 8 days, I believe, until Christmas. If you take Sundays and Thanksgiving out, that gives you that many sales meetings every morning for 30 minutes to cover a different category if you need to. And believe me, it'll improve your closing ratio, and you'll have more money in the till at the end of the year. Number 2, though, is salesmanship. In salesmanship, it's a lifelong learning experience. And when you understand salesmanship and how to close and how to romance, you have a very smooth presentation that is not pushy, is not threatening to their personality. It is very, very professional. Now, with salesmanship, you've got to learn how to prove value of the item you're selling without even talking about money, using value-added statements. How to close all the way through and not even, the client doesn't even realize that you're closing. How to handle the 3 types of objections with speed and accuracy. And those are price, integrity, and indecisiveness. Yes, and how to sell company benefits. How to properly TO. When and how to use technical knowledge. How to wow everybody. How to romance the item being sold. And there's so much to salesmanship, and the amazing thing about it is everybody's got a personality, and then you have your own style and your own profile of salesmanship. And so salesmanship isn't just do it like I do it. It's learn the steps and mold it to fit you so that you're successful on the floor. Let's just talk about one of them, add-ons. This is a huge sales meeting to have at Christmas because if 50% of your tickets, 50% have an add-on, Your increase in sales for December will be 25% over a year ago. That's a huge increase. Now, that's not having any more clients or writing up any more sales slips. That's just half of your tickets having an add-on. There's 3 types of add-ons, and how you get an add-on is a tool called a lead-in line. Now, what the lead-in line does is it creates curiosity, and you've got to say it with a little enthusiasm. The lead-in line is, we have the matches. This is part of a set. And some people like to use the lead-in line at the end of the presentation. In my presentations, I always like to use the lead-in line in the middle of the presentation, and I do something like this. Oh, remind me to show you what goes with this before we're done. Well, what that does is it creates a sense of urgency for them, and they hurry up and buy the item they're looking at because they want to see what it was I showed them, and it's a tool that I use with men a lot. But there's 3 types. Number 1 is matching. The matching one is showing like items. Now, if you're going to be very successful with the matching add-on, you need to set your store up add-on friendly. That means the ruby earrings, the ruby pendant, the ruby rings, everything that's ruby is together, not rings with rings, studs with studs, the pendants with pendants. And then you do the same thing with sapphires. You put the earrings, the studs, the pendants, the bracelets, all sapphires together. Same thing with pearls. And pearls should be an awesome, easy add-on this Christmas, and I think pearls are going to be very big along with diamonds. So you set the store up add-on friendly so that whatever you need to match the sell up is with the same thing in that case. The second one is the step up or the lift. They came in to spend $3,000, but you showed them something that was $6,000 and they bought it. You had an add-on of $3,000. There might only be one item on that ticket, but we bounced them up $3,000. It's called the step up or the lift. The third one, the biggest miss of all, service counter. Clients come in your stores and they leave repairs with them that are extremely valuable to them. Might have been their grandmothers, might have been their moms, maybe it's their dads, but it's valuable to them. And they're bringing it to you because they trust you. What a compliment. And you know, it ought to be an honor to wait on every one of these people coming in, but I've seen salespeople look at a client walking in and goes, oh crap, here comes a repair client, and run, so somebody else gets it so that they can wait on the next one coming in and spend money. Big mistake. 1983, we made it our goal that everybody that came in for a battery, we were going to show them a carrot. We sold a lot of timepieces that had batteries in them, and we changed about 10 batteries a day. And the amazing thing about it is if you change 10 a day and you're open 300 days, that's 3,000 opportunities. Did you hear me? 3,000 opportunities. Most people just let them stand there, twiddle their thumbs while somebody puts in the battery, and then we bring it out and they pay for it and the client leaves and nothing happens. Well, they can have nothing happen at all ho-hum jewelry stores in the country. So what's going to set you apart? So if I caught the client, I'll change the battery, you wow them with the diamond. If you catch the client, you change the battery, and I'll wow them with the diamond. It's called teamwork. Well, that year, 62 people, 62 clients waiting for a battery bought a 1 carat. You want to know how important the clients are that come in? Because they trust you. When somebody comes in for a diamond, they might have been in 3 or 4 stores already. They're coming in because they trust. So wow, everybody coming in for a battery, leaving and picking up a repair. The service counter add-on sale is one of the most fun. It's creative. It's impulse. Everybody's laughing. And a creative sale can take anywhere from 5 to 15 minutes. If the client's a clerk client and they come in, that presentation can take 30 minutes, an hour, even 3 hours. So the service counter client is somebody that we need to do a much better job taking care of, selling, and wowing. Not only that, they remember the last 30 seconds on what happened more than anything else. So if they just stand and wait, pay, and leave, they remember nothing. If they're standing and you're talking to them about a gorgeous carat or 2 carat and we're having fun playing in the jewelry, well, guess what? You made them feel important. They thought you thought they could afford it. You trusted them with something that's drop dead gorgeous, maybe it's $5,000. Remember, sell smart, and that's selling smart. Closing skills. Man, oh man. I have 2 or 3 presentations just on this. One of them is 5.5 hours long. When I come to jewelry stores, I do a 3-hour one morning and 2.5 hours the next just on this subject. And the amazing thing about it, this is where everybody, owners, managers, salespeople are the weakest. The close is a process that starts at the beginning. Most salespeople, if they close at all, close at the end. They have one shot. Most of the time, we're doing a teaching presentation. We teach them about it, and they leave with all the knowledge and left somewhere else. And then sometimes we do a show and tell presentation. We tell them about it. A show and sell presentation is much different. And when you know how to close properly, you do it all the way through. And as I said earlier, you can be so smooth at the close when properly trained. The client doesn't even know you're doing it, but they get so much reassurance from you that they want to purchase it. Right now, closing ratios in the United States are fairly low. In fact, I have them faxed into me from stores all across the country every week. I just got one this morning. But malls are running anywhere from 8 to 10% closing ratios. They have to wait on 100 people to write up 8 to 10 salespeople, or 8 to 10 sales receipts. That's a lot of hard work. Independently owned stores that are in strip centers or old downtown locations, their closing ratios right now are running around 23%. Some of them are around 27%. And the first time I go and consult in stores, I'll have people send me their closing ratios, and they'll say, "Oh man, Shane, mine's really high. We're good." And I keep asking for it, and oh, I'll get it to you. And then I get the closing ratio when I get there, and I got one recently, and he said, "I'm a little embarrassed." I said, "Why is that?" He said, "Well, our closing ratio is 7%. How do they stay open? Have you ever thought about that? Unbelievable. Freestanding stores, they got their own parking lot. Closing ratios are 27 to 33%. They're a little higher. But the number that you've got to concern yourself with is this one. 75% of all people buy the day they shop. 75%. So if 75% buy the day they shop, why are closing ratios 8%, 23%, 27%? One big reason, people don't know how to close. This is a sales meeting you should have every week. You should work with people every day if they're weak in it. You should role play with it. And owners and salespeople say, "Gosh, I don't like role playing." Quit. That's pretty simple. Listen, baseball players, pros, they get in the batting cage, and that ball comes by 95 miles an hour, and they practice swinging all day. Football players, they practice all the time. Anybody that's going to be good at their lifelong craft or their sport or whatever it is that their life dream is to be, if you want to be the best, you're going to practice. And we practice on clients. You got to practice on each other. Perfect practice makes perfect. Don't practice wrong. The 7 types of closes. Number 1 is direct. The missile personality uses it the most, and it's exactly what it says it is. Just do it, go for it, buy it. The missile personality can use direct closes, and they're easy for them to use. They do not come across as being pushy. It fits their personality. The compliment close is used most by the serpentine seller, and you know the blue in the sapphire is going to match the blue in her eyes. Now, clients love compliments when they're genuine, but they got to be genuine. And serpentines are very good at using compliment closes, and all people love to be complimented. Missiles don't use the compliment close much, but serpentines do. Whisper is number 3, and it's exactly what it says it is. It's where you're whispering, you know, she's going to love wearing this, or she'll never, ever forget this moment. It's where you lower your voice and you whisper it, and the client leans in. Now, that is the one that's used most by the sneak, not a snake, a sneak. There's 3 different types of selling personalities. And I'm going to talk to you about our DVDs when we're done. We've got a Christmas special so everybody can get your people trained up. But the whisper close is powerful, and it's actually my favorite one. And I'm a missile presenter, but I love that close because it draws people in. Number 4 is the indirect. Missiles are not indirect. Serpentines and sneaks will be, but indirect closes are trust your instincts, do what your heart says. The nice thing about the indirect close, in years gone by, like 30 years ago, they were called the trial close, and it's you're finding out where the client is. Number 5, underline it, circle it, put it in your notes, the reassurance close. It's for men and women. It's for both genders. It's for all age groups. And the reassurance close, you can use it all the way through your presentation, and there's no push or threat. she's not going to believe you did it. Not all masterpieces are in museums. This one, it can be on her finger. She'll never ever take this off. She'll never forget this moment. She's always dreamed of owning one of these. This is the dream ender. Those are reassurance closes. The sixth one is a question close, used most by missiles. Serpentines ask the most relationship questions, finding out about the client, but the question close is not. And never say this. Can I wrap it up for you? No. Never say, can I, may I, would you, let me in a sales presentation. Get asking permission statements and starts out of your vocabulary. Question closes are, do you want yellow or white gold? Do you want us to put this in a 4-6 prong head? When do you need it? How are you going to take care of it? Or you can say, while we're wrapping it up, how do you want to take care of it? But don't say, can I? Number 7 is the assumption close, used most by sneaks. And the assumption close is where you're using the words you or yours, his or hers, he or she, all the way through your presentation. These are pronouns that show ownership. And the more you assume they're buying it by using these words or the client's name, Frank or Emily, the more you're using these words, the more they feel ownership. And also make sure while you're selling, they have the item that you're selling in their hand the whole time. So there's 7 types of closes, and I said we have several hours of training just on these to teach you how to be extremely smooth closing all the way through your presentation. Next, what to do when your client says no. Now this is when you've closed properly all the way through. The first thing you do is you pause, and you pause anywhere from 3 to 5 seconds. Gives the client time to think about why they said no, because they've been with you for an hour. They really don't want to leave empty-handed. Second thing you do is you lean in a little bit, but they got to see the lean in and they got to feel it. And then there's 4 things that you say. And I want you to say them in the order that I teach you, not because I said so, but because it's correct. First thing out of your mouth, you know, I thought this was the one you wanted. And you wait for a moment, because most of the time they're going to come back and say, you know, it is. I just had to think about it for a moment. And that's not a close. That's a statement. I thought this was the one you wanted. Number 2, do you have questions about this that I've not answered yet? Now, what that does is it smokes out any objections that are left. And you find out what they are, and you back it up with your reassurance close. If it goes to the 3rd level, I love to do this if it goes to this level. You're wanting the bigger one, aren't you? I missed something. You want the bigger one. Oh, no, this one's fine. I'll take it. Now, a few times in my career, they've said yes, and obviously I did miss something somewhere. But it's a compliment because now they think we're going to go bigger, and they go, no, this one's fine. So it can be used also as a close. Only at the 4th one can you say, are you comfortable with the price? The guy's a millionaire, and the first thing out of your mouth is, are you comfortable with the price? You just insulted him, and it had nothing to do with the price. So always, when the client says no, don't quit. The statistics are that 60% of all clients say yes after they said no 4 times, but 80% of all salespeople quit after the first no. Those are alarming numbers. So to teach your people to close all the way through with no push or threat, it's a learning tool. Closing is a motivator. It's one of the biggest motivators there is because, man, I closed to sell. It's $1,500. It's $500. It's $10,000. And the nice thing about it is it motivates me to go close another one. And the only way they're going to learn this is for you to train them. Train, train, train. During the holidays, create a professional sense of urgency, but always make sure it's the truth. And creating a sense of urgency, you're using statements like, you know, we only have one of these. You realize Christmas is in 2 weeks? I can't get another one of these this late. You know, a lot of clients are coming in shopping right now, and if you know them and you want to have fun, you can say, you know, I'm going to show this to everybody that comes in here as soon as you leave, and I'm going to sell it, and then you're going to come back in and want it. It's going to be gone, so just get it so I don't have to do that. You don't have to worry about it. You can have fun. So create a professional sense of urgency. Just always make sure it's the truth. Next, Desiree, the biggest objection not handled at Christmas time is price. If your sales associates can't handle price objections, they can't close the sale. It's that simple. And I'll give you some examples. Man, that's a lot of money. We know it's a really big diamond. Or you throw in the tax, and you say, well, you know, we don't charge for tax. We're just a collection agency for the U.S. government. What if she's mad because she spent the money? She won't be. It's cheaper down the street. Well, you know, you can always find product that's cheaper, but that doesn't mean it's better. It's cheaper down the street. Did they talk about how it's cut? It's cheaper down the street. What kind of a lab report did it have? It's cheaper down the street. You know, our company made a decision a long time ago that we never wanted to apologize to you for anything that we sold that was cheap, so we decided not to have cheap in here. You can always be proud of what you purchase that you want to give to somebody, always. So you've got to teach your people how to handle price objections with speed and accuracy. Another great tool at Christmas time, if time allows, is team selling.
Shane,
now, what is amazing is I told you.
Can we find out
Jump
first?
in there, Desiree.
Go on. We want to find out if you are available on the showroom floor to help your staff close the sales, or are you somewhere else?
Oh, that's a great question. Owners and managers, a lot of times you guys get busy in the back, get in the office. You got paperwork you're doing. You're working on marketing plans, and the most important time of the year is in front of you, and your salespeople need you to help them close. They need more store floor awareness. They need another body on the floor. Very important question. Are you going to be there to help them succeed and help them close sales, or are you too busy? Let's find out where this goes, Desiree.
All right. 87% said they are on the showroom floor, and 13% said they are not.
And I like that one. The other 13%, better look at that number right there, because when the owner steps out on the floor, it's called the owner's blessing. If the owner comes out, the salesperson introduces him, and the owner says, oh, are you looking at this for your wife, your husband? Yes, I am. Well, that's one of my favorite pendants. She's going to love it. The guy goes, you really think so? And the owner goes, no, she is going to love it. When the owner comes out and blesses it, the closing ratio goes up 75%. Huge increase. Well, let's go back to the other great tool at Christmas time if time allows. I like that 87% one. Boy, that's great. Team selling. As I said earlier, most stores don't TO at all. And there are a few that do. And those that do, the closing ratio goes up 50%. The closing ratio is much higher. I have accounts that I have trained. Their closing ratios coming in anywhere from 50 to 60%. As I said, we track closing ratios all the time. With national average of 23%, you can tell what happens to their inventory turn, their volume, their profit. But a lot of things get in the way. Greed, jealousy, but not teaching them how to do it, not knowing how to TO, not knowing how to team sell. There's 3 reasons you do a TO. First one, you can't match a client's personality. You know what's amazing? I've never met anybody that can match every client's personality that comes in the front door. Not one. And actually, I've been in over 4,000 stores training in the United States and around the world, and I've never met anybody that can greet everybody coming in. Second reason you do a TO, the client wants some knowledge you don't have. Or there are some tools that are supposed to be at the counter, but somehow they walked off. Have you ever noticed how tweezers and loops and things are never where they're supposed to be? I think they grow legs and walk off at night. That's what I think. But anyway, you need an assist, and that's what that was called. And the third reason you do a TO, you can't close it. But to be extremely good at TOs, you've got to have sales meetings on how you want to be called in, how you let the person that's coming in know where you're at. If it's an assist, or they're going to stay and you walk away. But at Christmas time, if you're not all slammed with clients, and I hope you're all slammed with clients, but if you're not, TOs will make the closing ratio go up 50%. And it keeps the client in your store. If they go somewhere else and give somebody else their money, they become loyal to them. So it's extremely important to preserve customer loyalty. So when you close it, they come back and see you because they were successful with you. So it's just not about the sell you're closing right now. It's about all future sales with them. So all of you should be TOing everybody not closed. Everybody. Other tools to motivate your staff? Let's talk about some fun games. Pass the 20. My wife loved this one. She went home with the 20 every night. We had pizza money all the time. Anyway, passing the 20 is where you put a $20 bill on the cash register and you wave it and you say, whoever has the biggest sale today goes home with the 20 bucks. So somebody has one for $300, so they get to put the 20 in their pocket. Another salesperson walks up to them, has one for $750, and says, hey, give me the pizza money. Somebody walks up to them an hour later and says, hey, my ticket's $1,500. I want the 20 bucks. It's called pass the 20. So every time a sale is bigger, the 20 is passed to that individual. It's a lot of fun. And you'll find out when you play games like this, your closing ratio is higher and your sales for the day are higher. Just over a $20 bill. It's not about the 20, it's about the game. Number 2 is the owner or manager's favorite item of the day. So every morning you pick out something like maybe a 5-carat inline diamond bracelet one day. Say whoever sells this gets 200 bucks. Maybe you pick out a timepiece you've had for a while. Whoever sells this gets $50. But have a different favorite item every day. Diamond studs, rubies, whatever. Now, if they sell the favorite item the day before, that it was the favorite item the day before, it doesn't count. They've got to, well, I mean, the sell counts, you know what I mean, but they don't get the bonus. So the favorite item of the day is only paid for the item that day. The third one, for the month of December, all of your inventory that's 2 years old or older, you ought to mark it up. Diamonds have gone up about 30% this year. We all know what's happened to gold and platinum, and all of you should remark your inventory. But it would be really smart to put a 20% spiff, put a red dot on everything 2 years old or older. If you want to move old inventory for 30 days, I just sold something for $1,000, 2 years old, 20% spiff, I just made 200 extra bucks. It motivates your people to get the spiffs, and it also helps you turn old inventory. Smart, smart. Salespeople win, inventory wins, client wins. If you hit the daily goal, a bonus or reward for all. Maybe your goal today is 10 grand, maybe tomorrow 15 grand. Bonuses are powerful. And pay them immediately, not at the end of the month. Number 5, for the month, if the store hits a stretch goal or a bigger goal than normal, let's say you have 2 goals, one that's reachable and then a stretch. If you hit the stretch, you get a bigger bonus. Motivates them to hit it. Number 6, who has the highest sale of the day? So every day, whoever has the highest sale, maybe you have gift certificates for a nice restaurant, maybe for a movie. It doesn't have to be anything big, but anything that motivates them to succeed. The store wins in volume, inventory turn, and profit. Number 7, I love it. Who has the most add-ons for one ticket or the most in a day? Now, you got to have an add-on contest for the whole month of December, and there should be 3 categories of winners. Who has the largest add-on on one ticket? Somebody came in and they bought a timepiece that was 150 and you showed them a 3-carat for 30,000, chances are they're going to win. Second, who writes up the most sales slips with the most add-ons in the month wins the second one. Third, who writes up a ticket with the most add-ons on one ticket wins that category. Powerful. And number 8, if you track this, who has the highest closing ratio for the day or the month? A lot of stores are tracking how many people are coming in and what their store's closing ratios are in individuals. And it's really motivating to know if you have the highest closing ratio, you get some type of a reward. That's a motivator. Another powerful motivator.
Before we go into the next one, we just want to find out, are you sending your clients a handwritten thank you note after the holidays?
As I said, personal recognition is huge. People love handwritten notes, not email notes, not text messages. As I said, we're learning how to not communicate anymore. The nice thing about a handwritten note is they remember it when somebody takes the time to do that. It's very thoughtful. It's very gracious. It's very professional. Let's just see what they've got, Desiree.
Okay. 51% are and 49 not, half and half.
Well, that's a split right down the middle. I wish
Yep.
it was 100% yes. Well, let's go to another powerful motivator, a personal written note from the manager or the owner on how awesome of a day or a week or a month you just had. People love personal recognition, and they'll keep that note for forever. And I want you to remember, all of us are pleasers, and when you tell people how they're doing, and I go home feeling good, it makes my start for tomorrow even better. And last but not least, owners and managers, you got to keep your personal attitude in check. You got to motivate, not demotivate. The nice thing about it is when you have a good attitude, by you know, that's a choice because people want to be around you. When you have an awesome team player, that also is a choice, but it helps others succeed. And if you help others succeed, that also is a choice. Giving your team the tools that they need to succeed is a choice. Training is a choice. Spend time with them. Remember to follow your absolutes. And the thing about attitude is, if you got a bad one, it's like a fog through the whole store. We don't want to be around you. It changes our closing ratio. Can't romance the product. Come in every day with a smile on your face and glad to be there. And very quickly, I'd like to talk to you about our training DVDs. The first one is 3 hours long. It's on creating the sell from scratch. Goes into romancing, how to talk technical, 7 types of closes, handling objections, but it's really on wowing, and it will change your Christmas selling. The second one is 3 hours, and it's all on closing. It goes into the 7 types of closes, how to use closes, and they each come with 4 workbooks. Now, these are normally $7.90, but for today only, and they come with 4 workbooks, as I said, it's 6 hours of training. They're $750. So if you'll send us your address, and you can do that with our fax, 317-535-8676, with your Visa or MasterCard. We do not take American Express. Put the 3-digit code on the back and your store's address and some information. I will have these power packs, that's what they're called, in the mail in the morning. And by next week, you can start having your people watch these before Thanksgiving, watch them before Black Friday, watch them during Christmas, and you will greatly increase your Christmas sales, your profit. You'll get 10 times over easy, maybe every day. Remember, our number is 317-535-8676, or you can email us at edecker, E-D-E-C-K-E-R, at Ex-SELL-Ence, and that is EX-SELL-ENCE.com. I want to thank everybody for listening, and I want to thank JCK for allowing us to do this. Again, this is our 3rd one, and it's a pleasure to get to talk to all of you, and I hope I helped make your Christmas better. And I want to thank Desiree for getting the questions up and helping us set this up. She's our technical support there in Connecticut, and I just ask God to bless all of you, and thank you all very, very much for listening. Order the DVDs, and thank you to JCK. Do we have any other questions, Desiree?
We do, but before we move on to some question and answers, I want to turn it over to Vic for one last question.
Thank you, Desiree, and thank you, Shane. That was fantastic. My question is just I'd like to see what product you see trending for the holiday in your stores. What do people seem to keep asking about, and what's your bread and butter this holiday? If you could type your answer into the question box to the right of your screen, that would be fantastic.
That's a great question.
You can go ahead and type your questions in, or the trends that you're seeing into the question box over there. And while you're doing that, why don't we address some of the questions that came in? Shane, one of our listeners wants to know, what numbers do you use for closing ratios? Using repairs and batteries? Are you counting those?
What you do is you put a counter on your door, and you find out the actual head count of clients coming in. Now, a repair client counts as an opportunity because you can sell them something. But a repair ticket is not a sale, it's labor. So what counts are sales slips against head count. It's sales slips against head count. So if you had 20 sales slips written and 100 people came in, your closing ratio that day obviously is 20%. Repairs and battery tickets come out. Those are not closes, but they count as a client because they're an opportunity. That's a very good question.
Okay. And one of our listeners, I think part of his question was answered throughout, but if he was going to pick out the best motivating tool for in-store staff to exceed performance expectations, what are you going to say it is?
Well, I would like to answer that with at least 2 different answers. Number one, the more knowledge you give them, the more motivated they're going to be, because the more knowledge they have, the more self-confidence they have, and the closing ratio right there goes up. And obviously, people get bonuses at Christmas for increased sales. So knowledge is a powerful motivator. Meat gives me the tools to succeed. The other one, money is very, very powerful. Money is a powerful motivator. And obviously, third, recognition. And those are probably the top 3 motivators in our industry.
That's fantastic.
I guess there's 3 parts. I'm sorry.
That's okay. I'm sure he's satisfied. Well, for everybody who had questions, for Shane's phone number that came in, the screen in front of you has his email address and his phone number and his website. So Feel free to call him after this webinar if you didn't get his fax number that he said. And also, you can email him at sdecker@Ex-SELL-Ence or edecker@ex-sell-ence.com. We just want to thank everybody for participating today. You will be getting the recorded webinar in an email to you within the next 3 days, and you will be able to share that with your sales staff. It's going to also be hosted on our jckonline.com website, and you can share that with your sales staff leading up to the holidays, use it after the holidays. All of our webinars are hosted on jckonline.com/webinars, and if you missed part 1 of the Holiday Survival Guide series with Brad Houston, you can download that recorded version at jckonline.com/webinar. Thank you, everybody. Thanks, Vic, and thanks, Shane, for joining us today. We look forward to the next. We hope everybody has a successful holiday.
Thank you, Desiree.
Thank you very much.
Good luck,
Bye-bye.
everyone.
Bye-bye.